We the mafia. 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 Bills mafia. Bills mafia. We the mafia. We the mafia. Bills mafia. Bills mafia. We the mafia. Bills mafia. Bills mafia.
Alrighty, Bills Mafia, welcome to another episode of the Mafia Cast. How's everybody doing today?
Good.
That's you guys. Go ahead.
Jace, how are you?
I was letting Mike go first. Come on, Mike. This isn't our first rodeo.
I don't know why. You know, it's your gig though. I'm the behind the scenes guy.
Today's been a whirlwind of a day, but
Yeah.
it's good. It's good to
Crazy.
finally be back on the show. It's been
It feels
it's
like
a
it's been
nice
a while.
familiar. That's
It
what I
does,
was
too.
thinking too. It feels like it's been a long time since
Yeah.
our last show. Well, we are a day later, so that might
We
explain.
are a day
it.
later, yes. Yes, and I think we forgot to mention that on last week's show, but we are going on Wednesday nights. My son plays basketball, and he has games on Tuesday nights, so, family first around here. So,
Right.
Another victory week, though, guys.
And
Another
it was
victory.
very sweet. It was very nice.
It was a little
very-
slow. It started
It was slow.
but kind of expected the weather.
I mean,
You know?
and the defenses. I mean, the Jets'
Yeah.
defense is real. It's a
Yes.
it's a good
It
it's
is.
a good defense. I mean, I don't think we expect it to be as good as it is because of how young they are, but they're personally. I mean, just from my preseason expectations, they're way over. It's way overperforming the defense as a whole, and I mean, Josh threw for what 146 yards, 166 yards, whatever it was. Both games. I mean, he was barely over 200 in the first game against the Jets. They lock him down,
Yeah.
and it's not just him. They've allowed one 300-yard passer all year, so
Yeah.
it's not a Bills
Well-
thing. It's a Jets thing.
Well, I think it's a little bit of both. I do think the Bills' offense is struggling a bit. I think they are.
Agreed.
It's almost like they're still trying to find their identity, which unfortunately is killing my fantasy football teams because I've got Allen and Diggs on a few of them, and they're just
I
not
hope that's
connecting
not
like
the
they
case.
were. But so the
We're
game.
pacing ourselves.
Yeah,
So.
that might be true. We've done that the last 2 years. We
I mean-
kind of hit a stride. We stack some wins to close out the season, and then we get in the playoffs, and we just roll
Yeah.
until we meet the Chiefs. So,
Because that
well,
game-
even against the Chiefs last year, we were rolling, but coin toss, whatever. We're not going to go back to that. I put this out on Twitter the other day. Joe Miller, the Overreaction Podcast, he put out there, how you feeling, Bills Mafia, after that win? And my comment was, I think Garrett Wilson is going to be a thorn in the AFC East for a long time. And to expound upon that, I think the Jets are the better team than the Dolphins. And I think long-term, the Jets are going to be an issue.
Who's going to get the quarterback first? I know Dolphins fans are going to hate me for saying that, but who's going to get the real difference-making quarterback first? I mean, the Dolphins defense needs a little bit more help than I would say
Yeah.
the Jets offense does. Those are the two teams' weaknesses. But I mean, if you give either of those teams Josh Allen, or Patrick Mahomes, or even a Kirk Cousins or an Eric, someone like that, someone who's experienced and is a true Kirk Cousins can make almost all the throws. That would
just don't let him play on prime time.
Yeah,
Mike White looked all right if they could just protect him.
Oh God, he's
Give the
lucky to
guy
be
a
alive.
chance.
He's lucky.
But was that? I think was that the Bills' pass rush though, getting
Well,
after
yeah,
him. I don't because I don't.
think it's an
I
easy
didn't look at
task.
the numbers or anything, but I don't think the Jets necessarily had problems protecting their quarterbacks this year. But oh my goodness, if anybody's worried about Von Miller being gone, their words have got to be mute now. I mean, that defensive line looked as good as it's looked all year.
Absolutely.
True.
Are you kidding me?
True.
I mean, at Oliver, we were worried about Jordan Phillips being gone. Daquan Jones, Bills Mafia seems to kind of forget about Daquan Jones. He kind of lays low a little bit. He's a quiet player. But he plays really well. He's not known as a pass rusher, but this year, I mean, he's gotten to the quarterback to pressure him and get him to leave the pocket a lot more than I expected him to when he did in Tennessee.
Yeah. Well, it's funny you say that because I feel like I've been hearing his name more.
Yeah.
During the games on the broadcast.
anywhere. Yeah.
I agree. You know, I thought last week when the news came out about Von Miller, my first thought was like, okay, maybe this is actually one of those situations that, yes, I know it's a loss on the defense, but from I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, but from a position of, okay, it's on us now. Let's take this and use it to motivate and to push, almost like a let's do it for Von Miller type situation,
Mhm.
and the defense rising up. And I know it's the Jets. I know it was Mike White. And I don't know if White is the future there or not, but still, that defense, man,
Brutal.
like Matt Milano almost split him in two on
Yeah.
that blitz.
Twice.
That was
He
crazy.
he attempted murder on live television and got 0 charges.
Yeah.
I
guys
honestly
are
don't
fired
think
up.
I've ever seen a hit like that was not flagged. It was
Ooh.
textbook, absolutely perfect.
And he didn't even
man.
land on him. That was the best part. There
I
was not a
started
single thing.
I started feeling really bad for him.
My wings of the week almost went to Mike White for being able to survive and finish the game.
There was no quit in that guy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean,
you got to give it to him.
he's got the dog in him, like they say about Josh Allen. I mean, Mike White. I mean, he's taking this opportunity. He's not giving it up. You're gonna have to drag him off the his dead corpse off the field.
He reminds me a little bit of Taylor Heineke, kind of the same thing.
Yes,
The talent, while obviously he's an NFL quarterback, so there's some talent there, but isn't at above average or anything like that in this league. But just their heart and the determination is almost enough. But with both of these guys, Heineke too. I know he's kind of going off topic a little bit, but if these two guys, if the team's committed to them and say you're the guy going forward and build around them and give them a full season of the starter reps in practice, a full offseason, OTAs, all of that, maybe they could be the guy for those teams. I don't think they're, I wouldn't put them in the elite category or anything like that, but if you give them some talent around them, which clearly the Jets have, and even Washington, they haven't. I think they've lost one game since Heineke took over.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the playoff hunt now. In fact, they're in the playoffs as of right now, I believe. So
yeah, they're the 7th seed.
Yeah, and that's what I love about Josh Allen is he instills all of those traits, but has the physical tools too. That's what makes him, in my opinion, the best in the league.
I agree. I mean,
fans,
he's
Mahomes
right up
is
there.
fantastic. Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, you could definitely make an argument either way. The only reason why I put Allen in front of Mahomes, honestly, is because of the ability to pick up the yards on the ground. Mahomes can do it too, but he doesn't. He's more of a running around, and sometimes that leads to turnovers. Obviously, Josh does that sometimes too, as we saw.
Josh will try to run you over.
Yeah, and I don't think I've ever seen Mahomes jump over anybody. Maybe he has. I haven't seen it, but
not that I recall.
I have a friend of mine, a couple of neighbors who are big Chiefs fans, so I'm trying to be nice and not lay it on too thick as far as the Allen is the better quarterback. I caught a little bit of heat last time I made a comment about it, and yeah.
It's a fun debate.
No,
it can be friendly.
It is.
Hey, man,
it's definitely a debate, and you can debate either way. You really can.
That's why I don't have that debate, because nobody is wrong. Nobody is going to convince the other that they're wrong, because they're not. It's really about personal preference. How do you view football? How do you view offense? What are you looking for out of players?
What team do you like? What's your bias?
Yeah, what team do you like? What's your bias?
Right. I mean, if we were Chiefs fans, we'd probably be like, "Oh, who's this Allen guy? He ain't nothing."
Exactly. I mean, I bet you Patriots fans are on Josh Allen's side.
Yeah, probably.
I guarantee it. But
I think
quarterback.
When it comes to the debate of Allen versus Mahomes, I'm totally fine with either one. When it comes to people trying to say Tua is an elite quarterback and an MVP and better than Allen, that's ridiculous. And I draw the line there. I'm like, you can't make that comparison. There's just no way. Yeah, you can throw all the stats out there you want, but we've all seen the schedule of the Dolphins to play. What was it, 5 straight weeks of sub-500 teams? Buffalo has played, I don't know the exact, it's a top 5 schedule defense.
It's the hardest schedule in the AFC and the second in the NFL.
In the last 2 games, I think Tua's QBR is pretty low.
Yeah. And, hey, started 2 for 17, man.
Yeah.
I thought, and he was supposed to be accurate, I thought.
I mean, I'm sure he is, and maybe this is. I don't think he's as bad as he's played the last 2 weeks.
No.
I do think he's somewhere in between what we've seen in previous weeks and what we're seeing now. I think he's somewhere in between. Is the Dolphins, and kind of going back to the Jets and the Dolphins thing going forward, with both of these teams and the Dolphins too, if the Dolphins can improve their defense, I think they become more of a major player. But I think Saleh is the better coach with the Jets. That defense is night and day better than the Dolphins. And for me, that's what kind of separates them. Now, going forward, I mean, who knows what the Dolphins might do? I believe they don't have any first-round picks, if I'm correct.
No, they got those taken away.
Yeah, for the next couple years, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah, they traded them and got them taken away. Thank you, Tom Brady.
Yeah.
That's
So
his like, going away present to Buffalo.
They basically pulled the Rams and
he's still working for
said
Belichick.
F them picks, except I don't think it's going to work out for the Dolphins the way it did for the Rams last season.
No. And everybody kind of half expected Buffalo to do the same thing the second they signed Von Miller. You know, they're like, okay, they're like, what's the next big piece they're going to try to acquire? You know, everybody's giving up first-round picks for these new pieces around the league. What were the Bills going to do?
Yeah.
And Brandon Beane's like, nope, we're good. Like, I trust this. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's why I love Bean. He builds for now, but he's also looking ahead at the future. He wants to win Super Bowls, but he doesn't want to just win one Super Bowl. He wants to win 3 or 4 over the next 6-7 years.
He wants to
continue
Patriots.
that.
He wants to be the Patriots.
Yeah, exactly.
Who doesn't?
And that's
right.
what makes me think, like, you know, signing guys like they're talking about Beasley. I know we're going to get in that later, but I feel like he's sort of going to play the Von Miller role, you know, get these newer guys, younger guys up to speed, you know, and try to help them out in that sort of way, you know, as well as, you know, being on the field too.
That's what I was hoping he was doing with McKenzie. I thought
preparing for the future more. Even I see it for more further than this. I doubt he's just gonna, you know, come back and then retire again. Again after this season.
That is an interesting point, which we don't know if this is a long-term thing. Him and John Brown both is just like not even a 1-year rental. Is this a 2-month rental?
All right, guys, we're here. Let's do it.
All right.
We're here.
We're going to go ahead and skip over. Yeah, since it came up, this is going to be more about just who scores the first touchdown, but this is also like bringing these two guys into the fold. What does that mean going forward? Here's my take on it really quick, and then I'll let you guys talk about it. I don't necessarily know or think it's a case of trying to get more talent or better at the position. I think these guys do make the position, the wide receiver room, a little bit better. But ultimately, I think it's about bringing in guys who Josh Allen trusts. He knows these guys. He trusts them to be where they're going to be. And I feel like that might be the issue with Shakir. He's still learning, and he's still not quite there yet where he knows every nuance of this offense and where he's supposed to be on any given play. And I think that's part of the issue with him. That's just me speculating. I'm not a tape guy. I don't sit here and watch film all day long. I ain't got time for that. But that's just my opinion on it because we've seen him make plays, and then he's just non-existent. Like, and I don't know why, other than he's a rookie and he's still learning. But John Brown, Cole Beasley, they know this game. Are there more talented players on this team and in the league? Absolutely. But they know how to read defenses. They know how to leverage zone coverage and getting that spacing, especially Beasley. And that, I think, is going to be huge going forward.
Mike, go ahead.
Well, I know you put up the poll, and a lot of people were saying Cole Beasley, right? Or what was the percentage at? I forget.
It was, last I looked, it was 76% Cole Beasley.
Yeah, but I like to throw a wrench in. I like to argue. So I said John Brown. But the reason being, I don't know. It would be kind of crazy to see Cole Beasley just show back up and score. I mean, do I think it's impossible? No, but
well, I mean, to that point, though,
you pick up where they left off, and
John Brown
last week. Yeah,
John Brown was very close to score a touchdown.
He would have had a touchdown if he'd held on to that thing.
My God, so, that was one. That was
he's right
throw.
There. So, but then again, does Cole just going to take his spot, or or what?
So yeah, it's
Because
76% said
have
Cole Beasley.
obviously been an issue. I think you were talking about the offense too, struggling, and that's something definitely going on. Maybe
I think they brought Cole in to do exactly what he did before, was to get 6 yards every time he catches the football. To get Josh Allen, his check down guy. He's starting to look for James Cook, and James Cook is learning to stay in Josh's eye vision by bouncing around the line. But Cole Beasley, he just knew. I mean, when a play broke down, he knew when to sink back behind his zone and sit there, and Josh could see him down, 11 yards downfield when we needed 9. But he was just that security blanket. It just seems like Josh hasn't had this year. They're trying to do it with the running backs, but it just seems like he doesn't trust them 100% anyway. Obviously, Naheem Hines, we're all curious about that, but we're not Ken Dorsey.
Well,
we did see him out in the slot and running a little bit more gadget plays last week. So hopefully that's coming, and the team just needs to learn to gel with those again.
I think they're just working them in slowly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, if we just traded a 5th-round pick and Zach Moss for a hell of a kick and punt returner, then I'm still fine with it.
That's okay.
Like I said,
I'm totally okay. I
we
like
still have
with
James
Neon
Cook.
Hines when he catches
could be a
that,
backup if we needed him.
he just when he catches that, it feels like there's a chance every time he returns a kick now.
Oh,
Which,
dude, it's like
like I said before, we didn't have that.
No, I mean Isaiah McKenzie. I mean he could get us. He got us to the 35, 40-yard line a decent amount of times, but you always thought that you knew right around there he's running out of gas.
Or he's going to fumble.
Or he's going to fumble.
Not that he necessarily has a penchant for fumbling. Just I don't know what it is. This year I have not trusted McKenzie. I liked him in the previous years. I think he fits perfectly in a gadget role, those jet sweeps and stuff like that. I don't see him as a full-time guy. And then you have Crowder too. Crowder, kind of going back to what you said a while ago, Casey, about Allen not trusting these guys. He doesn't know Crowder and hasn't gotten much time with him because of the injury. Nope. He obviously doesn't know Cook other than, the time that they spent this year. But again, Cook is still learning because he's a rookie. Same thing with Shakir. He's still learning. McKenzie, how many drop passes does he have this season? I don't know. I know he's fumbled at least once or twice.
Several.
Those kind of things start to lead a quarterback like Allen to I don't know if I can trust you. It's different when somebody like Diggs drops a ball because we've seen it happen this year.
Oh yeah.
But 99% of the time you're going to go back to him and he's going to make the play. I don't know that trust is there with these other guys right now, especially, the rookies, the issues that McKenzie has had with drop passes. It'll be interesting to see what they do with Crowder. I do know he's practicing again. So maybe they go 4 wide, shock everybody with some K-gun style offense in the playoffs.
Hey, there's certain situations that might be useful.
I wouldn't be surprised, I mean, I don't think Ken Dorsey has opened up the playbook as much as he really wants to or expects to, and I think it's because of everything. I think it's just been a perfect storm. A first-year OC, a first-year quarterback coach, a new rookie running back, Gabe Davis stepping into the full number 2 role, Isaiah McKenzie coming into the slot, a rookie wide receiver behind all 3 of those guys, who we all expected to be the next man up behind them, but hasn't been, which is why we went out and signed Cole Beasley and John Brown. But I think just everything this season hasn't allowed Dorsey to do that yet. And I think and part of it's on him being hesitant too, because he's like, all right, once it comes playoffs, let's open this sucker up and do this, let's really
do
go.
Hope so.
I'd like to see.
In case that's a really good point. All the new pieces coming into this season. And I think a lot of Bills fans, myself included, expected historical numbers from this offense because of the new pieces. But you're right, they're new. They're new to this offense. Dorsey is new to that role. He's essentially a rookie. He has to learn the role just like Shakir has to learn the slot position. So I think our expectations for this offense were too high initially.
Absolutely.
And now they're trying to kind of tone it down a little bit with the passing game and having Josh throw it so much. Even though, again, my fantasy teams would appreciate if he would go back to that. But
You're preaching to the choir, bud. Trust me. I got the stack
man,
too.
I got one of my leagues. It's our I won the championship last year. That's what this trophy back here is for.
Nice.
But I had Cooper Kupp. He got injured. Yeah, I know. And then with Allen not Diggs, but Davis, I've got Davis.
Second play of the game.
Oh,
Kyler Murray.
He needed 26 points this week, and Kyler got her second point.
I had Kyler and Connor, and Connor got me like 24 or 25, and Kyler Murray didn't even get me a point. I'm watching the game, and I was like, no.
That sucks.
I really could have used that win, but I got into playoffs on the coin flip.
True.
Hey, it's all that matters. You get in, who knows what happens from there, right?
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so John Brown, Cole Beasley. We know Brown almost scored a touchdown last week, right? Probably should have held on to that ball. The pass was right there. So who scores the first touchdown between these two?
I'll go first, and it's Cole Beasley. And it's because he's going to find, like I said earlier, he's going to find that gap behind the zone on a broken play, and Josh is just going to throw a bullet in there. And I'm not saying it's going to be this weekend, but at some point, I think just between the two, because it's John Brown's the long, deep ball guy, that those don't happen nearly as often as, a 5-yard quick pass to the end zone, which, obviously for the Bills, it hasn't happened very often this year either, but because our red zone offense has been atrocious. But I think
until lately, the last few weeks.
Yes, until lately. But I think the
3 or 4 games where we lost back-to-back games really affected us statistically. Yeah. I think the team is, like, even our defense, I think last time I saw was number 10. This defense is so much better than number 10. Absolutely. But that few weeks there where we didn't have Milano, we didn't have Edmonds, we didn't have Poyer, or we had one and not the other, that few weeks really, skewed the numbers. But sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I just think the more likely scenario is to get into the red zone and Beasley finding a gap and Allen being like, yep, there it is, Old Faithful.
I agree.
I can see that
wholeheartedly. Same reasons too. Go for it, Mike. What you're saying, Brown?
I just want to say Brown because I want to be different, and I'm a risk taker, but I'm not gonna bet a pie to the face on it or anything like that.
Oh, come on! That's what was next.
You literally just said you're a risk taker, and then you're saying I'm not going to take a pie to the face. So what?
He's a chicken too. He's a chicken too.
But just for the sake of being right. I don't know. I'd like to see John Brown do it. Like I said earlier, he was right there. He's so close. I don't know. He's the most relevant, not in the headlines because Beasley just showed up. But on the field, I don't know. It was close, and I don't know. Like I said, I'm just banking on. I don't know if Beasley's just going to come in and pick up where they left off. I'd love to see it, but I don't know.
Well, Allen already did say he commented today that the chemistry is already coming back.
Yeah.
He said that during a press conference today. Yeah.
Okay, no, so that's something I want to disagree with. I bet you he doesn't know the whole playbook anymore because it's a new OC. There's going to be new language to learn.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I don't think there's much change in the language.
I bet you there's a decent amount of change.
I have no doubt that there's some change, but I wouldn't think that they would change that much of it.
I don't know.
Particularly the language.
We have to call Josh. Hold on.
Let me know if he picks up because he's not responding to my calls.
Let me throw this monkey wrench in that question real quick, and then we'll move on. John Brown, Cole Beasley, Nyheim Hines. Who scores a touchdown first?
I'm going to stick with Beasley.
Now you say that, I want to change it to Beasley.
I would say out of the three, it's Nyheim Hines.
Yeah.
Yep.
On a return.
Nyheim Hines isn't like a power back or something you're going to use down close to the goal line, though.
No, but I think he's gonna catch a pass pretty soon. And he's gonna break one. They're
Here's one.
starting.
Okay, I'll throw this out there, and I'm no bets or anything like that. But here's my hot take for the rest of the season. 4 games left. Each one of those guys will get a touchdown before the season's over.
You think so?
I'm just gonna
You better get on BetUS and put that parlay in right now.
Speaking of BetUS, great intro there.
Yeah.
Yes. If that's your thing, you can jump over to my Twitter on the bio, hit that link on there, and get started with BetUS. Take advantage of those sign-up bonuses that you can get in there, and make a little extra cash if you're good at it. I'm not very good at betting. However, I did have a little bit of a debate last week. It was the Vikings and Lions game, and I put that out there for the BetUS. Bet on that one, the odds. And I said, my money is on the Lions. And somebody's like, are you sure about that? Their comment was, this is not a primetime game for Kirk Cousins. Like, oh, good point. But I stuck with my gut, and the Lions pulled it out.
And Vegas knows something we don't, because they were favored by 2.5 going into that game.
I placed a bet on Murray, too, right before that game started. 2 touchdowns first half, 2 touchdowns second half. Nope, that didn't happen either.
Did you do it through BetUS? Did you do that bet through BetUS?
I did not.
Okay, well, that's your problem.
But
you caused the injury to Murray.
This is all your fault, Mike.
I deserve it, right? I use up the money on each app and then switch to the next one, so that's the next one in line as soon as I blow this one. But I do have my username and password, so we're right
eventually
there.
You'll hit big, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hey,
I used your link to
Joe,
sign up though.
I appreciate
that. Out of your Twitter bio.
So Beasley will score first. So in agreement, the playbook can change, but many of those short passes from Allen where street plays go 7 yards curl left. That's a good point. And again, like I think Casey, you mentioned that as well. Those broken plays, Beasley knows where to go. He knows where to get to on the field and wait for that bullet. But I'll go on record and say, kind of a hot take, that all 3 of those guys will score a touchdown before the regular season is over.
I would love it.
All right.
That would make me so happy. So happy.
It would be cool.
But just one last thing. I don't like John Brown wearing number 16. It's kind of ugly.
Now, speaking of which, so that was the other thing too with this Beasley signing that I do like is we heard about this with Von Miller. Bringing him in would help the younger guys on the defensive line,
right?
Teach them and some of the aspects of the game that Vaughn understands and knows that these guys may not. Beasley can do the same thing for Shakir, specifically Shakir.
Absolutely.
So I think in that aspect, it's going to be a really good thing as well. And I don't know. I haven't seen any deals as far as a contract that they signed, either one of those guys, to Brown or Beasley. So I don't know, again, if these are going into next season. Yeah, I imagine so. I did also see that Bean did say that signing Beasley does not necessarily mean that the OBJ thing is done as well. So more to come on that still.
Anybody that thinks that it was is nuts. Like,
yeah, because you sign these guys to Beans. It's not like it shattered anything as far as the salary cap.
They're making like a $580K a week or whatever it is for the rest of the year.
Well, I would think that's prorated for the number of games left. Maybe.
Probably.
I don't know. I don't know how contracts work. All I know is
weekly.
If I can make the minimum in the NFL, sign me up, coach.
Yeah.
They break the salary down and get it weekly, right?
Absolutely.
It is definitely more than what I get paid now.
So should we talk about who's getting wings?
Yeah, let's do it. I was just about to say it. Let's move on to that. So, wings of the week. We put it out there on Twitter. A little shadow for forecast of whatever you want to say. What is it called? Foreshadowing.
A good one.
There you go. And I was curious if anybody would respond and guess, but nobody guessed the name. But
I did.
I'm going to throw
I didn't say it though.
Well, I mean, you're part of the discussions all week long on who's going to be, so you don't count.
Oh,
Mike's a big old cheater.
I'm just trying to get the activity up a little.
The jive going.
All right. We need a drum roll, but we don't have a drum roll. If
I
only
can
we had a
I
producer
can
that
pat my belly.
if we had a producer that could download some sounds or something, that would be great. I don't know. But there it is. Mr. Gregory Rousseau.
All right.
Our wings.
Kind of going back to what we were
week.
talking about with the defensive line. Casey,
Right.
talk about why you picked this guy.
He did exactly what the Bills needed him to do. Von Miller goes down. Who needs to step up? The first round draft pick from last year. The guy that has all the talent and size in the world. And last year was his actual second year playing defensive end in his entire life. And now he's second on the team in sacks. With 7, he had 2 sacks last week, a forced fumble, 2 tackles for loss. And we saw how he had the batted ball right after one of the sacks as well that killed a drive. I mean, he's getting in quarterbacks' faces. He's been there all year. His numbers may not be Micah Parsons eye-popping the way they are. Sorry, and Uncle Joe, that one's for you. But he's stepping up and doing exactly what the team needs him to do. And an honorary mention wings of the week. This was almost our first co-wings was Matt Milano. I mean, that guy has just flown all over the field all season and just taking people out left and right. I mean, he's hitting people hard. He's causing fumbles, coming up with fumbles. He's getting interceptions, tip passes. He's doing everything that you could ask for in a linebacker. If he's not a Pro Bowler or an All-Pro this year, then I say Bills Mafia, we riot. I was like, because that would be absolutely ridiculous.
He should be. I would imagine he'll be a Pro Bowler. But then again, I mean, who knows? Josh Allen should have been a Pro Bowler last year, and I get that he was, but he was an alternate, and which is just ridiculous. Mac Jones was in the Pro Bowl, for crying out loud. To me, the Pro Bowl is, pardon my French, but shit, it means nothing.
Well, thank God they got rid of it.
I love the fans. I love the fans being involved in the NFL, but the Pro Bowl vote should not include the fans. It ruins it.
Absolutely.
Stick to the coaches and players, the people who actually know what's going on in the field and what to look for. And I'm not saying that there's fans out there that don't, but the majority of them don't. I mean, let's be honest. There's only a few people out there that can really dissect a play that's not a coach or a player, right? You have to have that experience in the game. Or you have to be somebody like Cosell, who that's what he does for a living, is breakdowns film. There's so many people. Tremaine Edmonds is a great example. Like, there's so many people that like, oh, he's a terrible middle linebacker. We need to get rid of him. You don't understand how he's being used. You don't understand his role in the defense. And I feel like those 2 weeks that he was out, we saw how important he was to this defense. Like, both of those games, we gave up well over 300 yards.
Yeah.
There wasn't a single tweet.
Popularity contest
tweet about Tremaine Edmonds and how bad he was when he was out. Nobody was praising Terrell Dodson and Terrell Bernard for how well they were playing. Just saying.
I agree. Like, I used to vote in the Pro Bowl. Honestly, I don't now because it just doesn't matter to me anymore. Like, it doesn't mean anything.
I vote for the Bills players that deserve it. Matt Milano, Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, Tremaine Edmonds. Those are the 4 that have and Jordan Poyer. Those are the 5 that have fully deserved it.
Yeah, I never have.
Did you vote for So in?
Do I think he's a top? So you're asking basically, is he a top 16 pass rusher in the NFL right now? And I would say no.
Is that how? Well, how many defensive ends go into the Pro Bowl though?
Well, I'm just 2 per team. So 2 for the AFC, 2 for the NFC starting, and then there's 3 alternates behind for each side.
So the question would be: is he a top 5 defensive end in the AFC?
Yeah, and no.
I would agree with that. Now let's see how he finishes out this 4-week stretch though.
Does he finish with 14 sacks? Then okay, he'll get every single vote of mine.
Right. I mean, if he gets 2 sacks a game between here and on, that's 15 sacks on the season. That's Pro Bowl level right there.
That's what I'm saying. So,
how many times can you vote?
as many times as you find it.
Really?
Yep.
I don't think there's. Well, like I said,
That's-
I haven't done it in a couple of years. I feel like that there was something that said no more than 10.
Okay.
Oh, I voted way more than 10.
Oh, maybe that's different
I'll
then.
have to check it out. It's not like once a day or something like that.
No.
Once a week.
No.
You see, that's the other thing though. Like you shouldn't get more than one vote. Like
Exactly. Well, this is why Tua is the leading vote getter.
Yeah, and I saw that, and that was another reason why I was like, oh yeah, I'm not wasting my time on the vote. I'm sorry. The Pro Bowl is garbage now. It has zero meaning. Like the only thing that matters, like the NFL top 100 players that it's voted on by the players that comes out every, like I think August. That to me is more viable than any Pro Bowl voting, because that's coming strictly from the players.
Hey, you remember when they voted Mac Jones 85 above Von Miller and Tre'Davious White? Those were good times. Those were good times. I had a nice laugh when I saw that.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl needs to get back to where it was, but we're nowhere near the Pro Bowl, and we'll probably talk about that more when we do get to that point in the season.
Well, they replaced the Pro Bowl with a flag football game, which will actually be entertaining. That's what they were doing anyway. Now they just won't look like idiots wearing pads.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys, y'all might not have even seen this. Uncle Joe probably remembers, though. Chime in if you do. In the summertime, they used to have this quarterback challenge where the guys would go out there and they would, throw distance. They would throw it hitting at moving targets. The footballs had a little dusted like chalk on the tip of it. There were some other challenges. Yeah, they used to do that, and I love the shit out of that. Like I would watch that any day over today's Pro Bowl. Like today's Pro Bowl is just like, what is that's not even football.
So you want to hear a fun little fact? So my dad and uncle, my dad's family grew up in Hawaii. He was a Navy brat, and so when the Pro Bowl was in Hawaii, my dad said it was like the best time of the year. He said it was just the coolest thing. So there you go, Uncle Joe. Shout out to your Papa John's Navy days.
Yeah, I got to show you guys this really quick. So let me just put this out here. I don't know if you guys can see what that is.
No, maybe
cigar.
Yeah,
it is a cigar.
I'm trying to read it.
It's a. Well, there's nothing really to read. I mean, it's super small, but it's from the Caribbean islands. A friend of mine gave it to me last week, and I don't smoke. I have smoked a couple cigars in my time, and I used to smoke like a decade ago. But so what I decided to do with this is I'm going to hold on to it, and I will light it up when Buffalo wins the Super Bowl.
All right.
Now, hopefully that happens this year, because if I have to hold on to this thing for more than that, it's probably going to taste pretty nasty.
Yeah, you don't want it to go bad.
No, I know. But what else am I going to do with it? Freeze it?
Right.
Put it in a jar.
But that's my plan. That's what I'm going to do with that. And I would like to do it on the air, but my wife would probably not appreciate if I lit up a cigar in the house.
Come on, Bill. Make it happen.
You probably, that probably wouldn't go over very well.
So I don't want to harp on this Pro Bowl thing anymore, because like I said, I don't like the Pro Bowl. I hate it. We'll talk about it when we get to that point in the season. And hopefully we don't even have to talk about it then, because we'll be too busy talking about Buffalo's upcoming Super Bowl game.
Against the Cowboys. I'm telling you, I said it before the season, it's going to happen. Bills, Cowboys, Bills get the revenge.
Yeah, them Eagles are
think
looking
so?
mean.
Yep. Only team that can take out the Eagles is the Cowboys. The Cowboys are built to take out the Eagles.
I can see that.
Aren't they?
Cowboys are playing hot. They.
Cowboys,
isn't that coming up
soon? Let's check. I'll check the schedule right now.
Yeah, let me jump over to ESPN schedule. Because I want to say I thought it was like this weekend, but maybe not. No, it's so Philadelphia's playing Chicago
next weekend.
So Chicago, and then Dallas. The game is in Dallas. That's a December 21st. So it's a Christmas Eve game.
And they did not have Dak last time they lost to the Eagles by 9.
That's right. Yeah, and that's a 2:25 or 4:25 Eastern time kickoff. I know Buffalo plays on the Christmas Eve. What time is our game?
1 o'clock.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, cool. So we can watch the Bills and then we can jump over and watch the Eagles. Win or not, I don't have a preference one way or the other, to be honest with you. But I feel like the NFC has pretty much become at this point a 2-horse race, and it's between those two. Well,
And what can
Brock Purdy played
Purdy
pretty good.
do? Exactly. What can Purdy do?
Yeah, and since we're on the Bills and NFL news part, I think that's a good little jumping off point there. Brock Purdy, guys, boy, he showed up. Like, holy crap, is this the next? I don't even know what to compare him to. I don't want to say Tom Brady, but I'm going to say that only because of the draft position.
I'm thinking how when Kaepernick came in and got them to the playoffs or whatever. Well,
Kaepernick was still a relatively high draft pick, wasn't he?
I had never heard of Colin Kaepernick.
Well, I know who Colin Kaepernick was because he played for Nevada, who Boise State plays, because they're in the same conference. Mm-hmm. So I've seen him plenty in college. And in fact, there was one game between the two teams that played, and I do believe Boise State was top 10 at the time, and Nevada was somewhere in the top 15 or 20. The game was insane. It was back and forth. I believe it was triple overtime. It was just nuts. It was one of the wildest college games I've ever watched. So, but anyways, yeah, I mean, Mr. Irrelevant has come in, and I think most people, myself included, wrote off the 49ers
really
after. Yeah, no. But I wrote him off afterwards, but then he played well.
I put Purdy in that same category as like Mike White and Taylor Heineke. I explained it to my dad and my wife on Thursday, and I'll tell you guys the same way. They don't know they're supposed to be bad, so they go out there and they're like, let's do this. Let's do it. You know, like who cares?
This beginner's luck thing?
Not beginner's luck, but going out there and being like, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to bench me. Oh, they already tried that, and here I am. You know,
they're too comfortable.
Hey, yeah, they're going out there and playing not without care, but they're going out there and just like playing football. It seems like they don't when players in that position aren't they're not thinking about it too much. You know, they're all right. This is a play. All right, I'll change the play if I need to, and they just get the ball to their playmakers' hands and just don't throw an interception. You know, don't make the big mistake. And the Niners have done that with Jimmy Garoppolo. You know, he has the most wins ever without throwing a passing touchdown. I think it's like he's like 10-0 without throwing a passing touchdown or something like that. So, I mean, if they can do that with Jimmy Garoppolo, why can't they do that with Brock Purdy?
Right. So I'm going to get to some of these comments here really quick and back up a little bit, kind of going back to the Dallas and Philly. So Uncle Joe here, as long as Dak doesn't give the game away, they have a chance on Christmas Eve. Yeah, I honestly have not watched that much of the Cowboys or the Eagles for that matter, but other than when they're on prime time. But Dak's played pretty well this year. Aside obviously from when he got hurt, he didn't play at all. But that game is going to be fun, I think. I think it's going to be a whole lot of back and forth. And then some other ones here. Scott, I'll get to the Vikings comment here shortly, but I did want to. So Kaepernick was a third-round pick, and that Boise State game I was referring to with Kaepernick, and that was when we had Kellen Moore was our quarterback. It was 6 overtimes. 6 overtimes. That game was just nuts.
Well, I don't know. I should remember that because I remember watching Kellen Moore at Boise State. I loved Boise State because he had the blue field. He used to play with you all the time in NCAA.
We still have that blue field.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
In fact, we have, I believe,
blue field.
Well, that's where I was going to. Boise State has actually copyrighted the blue, so nobody can do it at any college or anywhere. Eastern Washington has a red field.
Yes, I've seen the red field.
A different blue. Yeah, the Eastern Oregon, they called it the Inferno. That's kind of catchy, I guess.
Yeah.
But everybody wants to copy us. But if you ever get a chance to see that game between Kaepernick and Moore, I'm sure it's probably on YouTube or something. You should check it out. It was a wild game. Yeah. Nevada did end up pulling that out. If I remember correctly, our kicker missed a field goal. And poor guy, death threats and the whole thing, which is another issue. Yeah. But so this comment from Scott here, this kind of going back to what I said about the NFC being a 2-horse race, but then we kind of threw in the 49ers. I
I
know the
don't think the
Vikings
Vikings
record
have the
is.
defense.
I just don't. Well, we've talked about it a couple times. We've made the reference of prime time. Well, the whole playoffs is nothing but prime time. So it'll be interesting to see how Kirk Cousins does once they get in there, because they're going. We know that.
Oh well, yeah, you're 10-3.
10 and wait, yeah, because they did lose. That's right. So yeah, 10-3. I guess if they get it together, at down the stretch or whatever, they have the talent, especially offensively. I don't think there's any question they have the talent to keep up with anybody in the league. But yeah, the defense, and then Kirk Cousins. Even when they played us, Kirk Cousins threw 2 interceptions in that game. He didn't play well.
He tried to give it away. I mean, he won
Yeah.
that game, but he also tried to give it away, which is the definition of Kirk Cousins.
I don't think he won the game. That game was won by Justin Jefferson. Like making ridiculous freaking catches because Kirk Cousins just threw it up to him. Here, go make a play for me, which is what you do when you have a guy like Justin Jefferson.
Exactly.
So I can't fault him for that.
Well, sounds like they got it figured out.
Yeah. Right.
I don't know. They lost to the Lions.
Yeah. Teams.
I'm not saying the Lions are a bad team. I'm going to go back.
Too, just as easy.
Yeah. At the beginning of the season, I made a bold prediction that the Lions would make the playoffs, and then they fell to 1-7. I was like, well, I guess that didn't work out. But now they're 6-7. They're right back in it. Right back in it.
I'm sorry.
So okay.
I have to root against them. My wife's team is the 7th seed. Washington.
Yeah, I know. And I'm sorry.
But hey, after Sunday,
I want my bold prediction to come true.
After Sunday, either them or the Giants are basically going to be out of the playoffs. So because they tied last game and the Commanders were on a bye last week, so this Sunday's a big game for the NFC East. Not a tie.
I don't think the Giants are making it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think that fire's starting to burn out a little bit.
I'd like to see it
burnt out a long time ago.
Fans.
Well, I dangled
like
Jones.
It's not even smoking anymore. There's no embers. There's no smoke. No. There's nothing.
Who peed on the fire?
Yeah, I think they've lost 5 of their last 6 or something like that.
Something, but it's just Daniel Jones. Dable's doing the best he can with him, and Daniel Jones is not having a terrible season. He's not that good. That's all there is to it.
I think he can be a Heineke or a
Mike White.
Mike White. They need to build around him. They have no weapons outside of Barkley. Like Galladay, they're paying him an enormous amount of money to do nothing.
Okay, so did you know they have the most expensive wide receiver room in the NFL?
Yeah.
That's insane. And their best receiver is Isaiah Hodgins from the Bills practice squad,
who I picked up on my fantasy team.
Not a bad idea. Idea.
Hey, I mean, they got to throw it to somebody, and he's been making plays for him. So,
Beasley's out there too now, right?
Who?
We're talking about Beasley getting in the end zone. He must be available in some fantasy leagues.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going on that one.
I know it's a tough one.
Staying far away from he and John Brown.
I jumped in. I jumped on the Hodges train because he's all they got to throw it to.
Yeah. And Daniel Jones, and they do have a little bit of a connection. He caught a touchdown last week.
Yeah. There was one other comment in here. Oh yeah. So going back to the Brock Purdy, Scott again. Purdy had a good game, but can't say he's going to be that good all the time. And maybe not. I do think there is something to be said for there's 0 tape on this guy right now, and that does help a young player when they're first coming out on the field. Like nobody really knows anything about him. So we'll be interested to see how they do going forward. You guys continue the conversation. I'm going to go look up their schedule because I'm curious to who the Niners have down the stretch here.
Uncle Joe is not wrong about this. Saquon is all the Giants got. It seemed like they had an up and coming tight end in Daniel Bellinger until someone tried to gouge his eyes out a month ago. I don't know if you guys saw that live, but that was scary. Like someone face masked him, but the finger went their fingers went in and when he was on his hands and knees and hoping it was spit, but like this white stuff came out, and like he left the game, went straight to the hospital. He didn't fly home with the team.
Wow.
I mean, Darius Slayton's starting to come on with him to be a wide receiver for him, but he gets 1 or 2
He's so
catches a
inconsistent.
game.
I
Yeah,
picked
he
him
gets
up,
1
but
or
I
2
can't
catches
start
a game down
I
the
can't
field for about 50 yards. Well, yeah.
So this is the 49ers schedule. They finish out with Seattle, then Washington, then Las Vegas, then Arizona. Those are all
What games do you think they lose?
none.
None?
I don't see them losing any of those. They
Other than
could, obviously, but I don't see it.
Zona just got a lot easier.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I bet
I
you
mean, they
lose
weren't that good to begin with, and now without him, they're even worse.
I bet they have they lose to Washington.
Oh, come on.
Hey,
you're just saying that because you want brownie points.
so that's not just a stuck up. That's a game that like the Bills almost losing to the Lions, something like that, or if we lose to the Bears on Christmas Eve, doesn't seem like as much of an important game in between a bunch of much more important games. Like we have the Bears between two AFC games or three AFC games.
Yeah. I do think that there's a greater chance of Washington winning that game than there is of the Bears beating Lions or the Bills. But I mean, could they lose these games? Yeah, they could lose to Las Vegas, who sometimes shows up and sometimes they don't. Sometimes they show up for 3 quarters and then they lose in the fourth quarter. Like they are so frustrating. Speaking of the Raiders, I watched them last week, Thursday night, and I thought, all right, good, here we go. They're playing well. My wife is a Raiders fan, so I root for them. I don't know if I've been more mad at a non-Bills team, and I don't know when. Like the way they lost that game, like, are you kidding me? Like,
Dude, it's all Josh McDaniels or whatever Josh McDaniel. I just don't. One of my best friends is in my wedding is a diehard Raiders fan, and the day they hired McDaniels, he was like, I hate him. He goes, I absolutely hate him. I was like, dude, I was like, I like him. I was like, I think he could work. And I texted him like right when the season started. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought maybe they were starting to kind of figure things out because I think they won 3 straight, maybe it's 3 or 4 in a row. I was like, all right, here we go. They're finally figuring things out. They're coming around. They're going to get Renfro and Waller back here within the next week or two. Perfect time for maybe sneak into the back door of the playoffs or whatever. But then that loss, man, I was like, come on. However, I will say this: I do think, and I feel like the refs helped that loss out, because when they threw that personal foul when he knocked the ball out of Mayfield's hands,
that was
come on.
That
we see that every single week in every single game. Like it happened in the Bills game. One of our guys knocked it out of his hands. Did you see that?
Tre'Davious White.
Yeah, he knocked it out of his hands. Like, oh, no flag. Huh, interesting.
Timing is everything in life, Papa Ron. You're supposed to give us this kind of advice. It's all about timing.
I've never seen a flag thrown for knocking the ball out of their hands.
It was a pivotal time in the game. That's why he got called. Tre'Davious White did it in the middle of the second quarter. Nobody cared. I'm on your side, but I'm just telling you
Doesn't
what I
sound
think
like it.
Hey, man, I'm telling you from the ref's perspective, Papa Ron.
Sounds like a lame excuse.
I was so frustrated. Number one with that call, but my wife even told me after the game, she's like, "That's not the Bills. Why are you so mad?" Because why did they lose that way? Like, come on.
I get heated for Washington too. I watch them like when they're on, the Bills aren't on. I'm like, all right, let's do this. I'll buy into this cute little football team.
Absolutely.
Like, come on, and God damn it, I can get behind Taylor Heineke, man. Like I love watching that kid play.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. Kind of along those same lines as Mike White. I didn't have an opinion of him one way or the other, but the way he played, well, not even so much the way he played, but the way he gutted out that game was impressive. I mean, you got to give him props and kudos for that.
Absolutely.
The flip side of that, though, after the game, and I heard that he actually was placed into an ambulance and taken to the hospital to potential internal bleeding. I'm like, wait a minute. You let this guy go out there in the field still, and he's like maybe bleeding all over the place internally. Like,
Hey,
and you
man.
have to put him in an ambulance and rush him to the hospital, and you
He
let him
wasn't passing
play.
out.
Hey, Tua didn't know his ass from his elbow, and they let him go back in the football game.
That is a problem. Like, these
It is a
coaches and these
problem.
staffs, they need to, like, okay, there's something wrong here. You're not going back out there until we make sure you're okay. And
Well, that's
if
why
that
they
means,
put in. That's
So
why they
was
put in
there
the rule for the physical
Did
ailments,
they
the
find
concussion
anything?
test.
Did they say he's okay or?
Bruised.
I
It's bruised
haven't heard.
ribs. From what I've seen, it's just bruised ribs. But that's why they put in the new concussion protocol the physical ailments. If it looks
Yeah.
like, even if you're like, I'm fine, you pass all the tests, but you come up wobbly, you're not going back in the game.
Yeah.
So hopefully that helps. That
Unless you're
situation
Tua
a bit
in that
more.
game.
Yeah, unless you're
Well,
Tua in that game.
that game is why they changed the rule, though. And then the next week when he bounced his head off the turf again and got all
He was
seizure-like.
out for 2.
Yeah. Like, that was honestly, I don't like the Dolphins, obviously. None of us do. But that moment, seeing him lay on the field in the position the way he was, that was scary.
I felt bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen someone literally get their neck broke on a football field, getting helicoptered. It's not a pretty sight, like to see someone get taken off a football field in an ambulance. It's scary, no matter what team you root for, what team you're playing against.
Yeah, because it just kind of brings everything back to the field and what these guys are doing on the field. You don't ever know what could happen to somebody from one play to the next. And that's one reason why I get so frustrated with people on social media that want to at players. Leave these guys alone, man. They're putting everything they can out there on the field. They're giving it their all. They're trying their best. They're doing their best. It's not always going to work out. And I'm sorry, Joe Schmo sitting on the couch does not know the game better than whoever's on the field. It's just they don't.
I don't
know. They dedicate their lives to this game. They sacrifice everything to play this game.
Yeah,
literally.
So,
like quite.
They
literally.
do. I mean, you look at look at Eric Wood. He would probably still be playing right now had he not gotten that neck injury. And they basically told him, I mean, you can keep playing if you want, but if this happens again, you could be paralyzed. That's the kind of risk that these guys do out on the field. I understand they're making a shit ton of money. I get that. But is your life and your livelihood worth any amount of money?
Is there? I mean, it's what everybody says. What's the difference between 60 million and 40 million? I mean, yes, $20 million. To me and you hand us, here's 40 million, here's 60 million. Which one do you want? We're going to say 60 million, but we're not going to be disappointed if we're handed $40 million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you make enough money eventually, where you're like, all right, like I fulfilled my dream. I've made my money. My family's set. My great grandkids are going to be set. Like, let's actually enjoy this, and that's why I respected Andrew Luck when he retired, when he did. That dude was beat to piss. I mean, the Colts did him like zero favors, never got him an offensive line. And he was like, you know what? I'm not going to come out of this league a vegetable. Like, I want to do something, with my life, with my brain. And so when he left, I was like, kudos to you, man. Like, you're looking big picture. You've made a decent amount of cash. So get out when you can.
Yeah, which as fans, it's too bad, especially if you're Colts fans. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, totally get it. He basically weighed his options like, you know what? My future with the family is more important. And this kind of goes back to a little bit of, so all this week, there's been a lot of chatter on social media about, respect for women, respect for the players, stop coming at people on a personal level and all of that stuff. And I even tweeted out there, because I've heard people say, well, I buy tickets and I buy merchandise, so I have a right. No, you don't.
No, you
Nothing
don't.
in this world gives you the right to belittle someone.
Support the team.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like if the team isn't living up to your standards, then stop buying the merchandise and go find somebody else.
Yeah.
Yep. That's how I look at it. Like, stop with the BS, stop with the personal attacks.
Or else you're just choosing to be miserable. What's the sense?
Yeah.
Greg, this is pointed at you. Greg, this is all about you, Greg.
There are some people out there that does not. It seems like no matter what the Bills do, they're just not happy. They're going to find something to nitpick, and it's annoying. Like, And this was another thing that I kind of brought up, I think, a week or two ago, or maybe it was even this week. I don't remember. The weeks just run together sometimes. But people complaining about this season and how things are going. Yeah, here we are. We're 10-3. We're at the top of the division, top of the conference. We're playing the second toughest schedule in all of the league. We play in arguably the best division in the league. You can make an argument from the NFC East. The injuries, Von Miller, Micah Hyde, like this team is battling through some adversity this year that I haven't seen them go through in quite some time. But that could be a good thing. That kind of thing can bring the team together, make them rise up, just like we were talking about earlier with Von Miller going out and how the defensive line stepped up this week. Like, we got your back, Von.
He's got the guys fired up.
Oh, yeah, he does. We can be back to practice today. Ooh, it was he and Beasley coming in at the same day. Practice was hot today.
Did you guys see the meme? I saw it earlier this week. It was so the first picture had Von Miller, or it had the name Von Miller on the back, and it was a Splinter from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and he's walking with the 4 smaller Ninja Turtles with his hands on their back, and it's the defensive line.
Yeah.
And then the bottom one was reverse of it, with all of them having their hands on the back of Von Miller, like, we got you. It was really cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That was cool. All right, we're getting along here, so yeah, keys to the victory might go.
Man, you're putting the pressure on me. I got to do keys to victory and a score prediction.
Yep. Hit it.
I don't know.
What wins us this football
Good
game?
answer.
I mean, I think it's going to be a similar game to the Jets game. We're going to have to keep the pressure on. D-line's going to have to show up again. I don't know. It's going to be a lot of ground. It's going to be slow. But I don't know. I'm going to do more of the prediction than the keys to victory, because I'm not. I mean, I like I said, it's pretty much just going to be the same sort of game, I think. But for scores, since you let me go first, and I thought about this, and I'm glad no one got to steal my score from me, I'm going to go 24-17 Bills. And,
Papa Ron, go ahead.
No hot takes, just straight up win.
No hot
24-17.
Are you sure you don't want to go next, Casey? Because I took your score and you got all mad at me.
All right, I'll go next. I'm going to go 31-24 Miami. And my key is going to be actually.
Wait. Did you say Miami?
Buffalo. Sorry. Against
You're
Miami.
joking, right?
Against Miami.
I was about to say, I need a new host.
Yeah.
I wrote that down too. What's wrong with you?
I think Josh Allen's gonna find a rhythm. I know it's supposed to be crappy weather. Tua hasn't played in this kind of weather yet.
Tua ain't got the arm to play in this weather. He barely has the arm to play in the dry weather.
And is Raheem Mostert really going to be able to carry a lot of the workload to keep the Bills offense off the field and keep gaining first downs? I mean, I know they have Tyreek Hill, and he's going to make a play. He didn't even have the ball last game, and he scored a touchdown.
Don't get me on that.
I know. I did it on purpose. He's gonna find a way. He's just going to find a way to score, to get his. That's what great players do. He's going to get his. But that means you have to limit the rest of the team. And with Jalen Waddle kind of hobbled a little bit, there's not much trust between Tua and Mike Gesicki. I think this is going to be sort of a more high-scoring game, and I think Buffalo is going to pull it out. Buffalo is going to pull it out.
31-24. So you got 30 or 31-24. Mike, you said 24-17.
Yep.
Right? Okay. So I'm going to put this up there really quick, even though it's not a score prediction, but, Uncle Joe has some thoughts. Pressure 2 or 3 interceptions for the D. 35. Oh, there's a score. 35-13. Dolphins D, not as good as the Jets. I
agree with that.
Honestly, I promise you, Uncle Joe and I did not have a conversation before the show. I absolutely agree with that spot on, because you hear about quarterbacks when they're not playing well having a get right game. A get right game is typically against a bad team. Tua is going up against arguably one of the best defenses in football. A front four that's going to get after him. Like, Milan was probably going to snap him in half too. I see the turnovers coming. I see the turnovers coming from Tua again. I believe he had 3 interceptions last week, 3 picks, and I think he fumbled as well. I mean, 4 turnovers in the one game. And the Niners defense is legit. They are for real as well. Are they as good as Buffalo or vice versa? I don't know. They might be better. That's really a toss-up. But because he said 35-13, I'm going to change it and say 31-10. How about that? I'll go 31-10.
I like it.
31-10.
Yeah, see, we're on the same page. I like Uncle Joe.
Well, you live closer to him than you do to me, so you should go hang out with him. He lives in Indiana.
Now I'm that much closer. Like
hey,
in
man.
between.
Hey man, it's like half a day for you.
That's funny. No, not that bad. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and close this out. There's I believe my dinner has just been delivered to the door. I hear dogs and I hear so we're gonna wrap this up. We appreciate everybody's support. Hey, listen, if you're on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, share it. If you're on any other podcast platform, whether it's Apple Podcast, Spotify, whatever, please hit the like, the follow, the subscribes, all of that fun stuff. And also, what are you pointing at?
I think the button's over there somewhere. Subscribe button.
Oh, on YouTube. Yeah.
Subscribe.
Gotcha.
Oh, there.
It's there somewhere on the screen, folks. Also, we have a Facebook group. It's called the Mafia Cast, Buffalo Bills fans. We've been adding new members every day almost. So jump over there and bring us in some more people so we can chit chat and talk Bills football all week long. So I think with that, we're out of here. You guys got anything you want to add?
Come look for me and Mike. We're going to the game this weekend, Mafia. We'll be there.
Possibly Ronnie.
Papa Ron might make an appearance too. We don't know, but if he is, you'll see him. Trust me.
We're going to try this again.
All right. I'm looking forward to it. I better see something on the national telecast.
Yeah.
We're going to do everything we can. Trust me.
All right. The Mafia Cast, we are out of here. Go Bills.
Go Bills.